There you go. Go for it.
Cool. And yeah, similar to Joe, I have a background. In fact, my whole adult life in work has been all in nonprofit. Started out in kind of small mom and pop shops doing everything from fundraising to program management. Got my master's in nonprofit administration at USF and kind of transitioned more into grant making entities. So over the course of about 10 years, I worked at California Wellness Foundation, California Endowment, East Bay Community Foundation. Most recently, before Flipcause, was working at East Bay Community Foundation, kind of spearheading our local Giving Day efforts, which is appropriate for our discussion today, kind of leading our East Bay Gives, as it was called.
Yeah. So just a little background about Flipcause, who we are. Flipcause has been around since 2012. We're headquartered in Oakland, California. We have spread out a little bit, though, as you can imagine. We now have people working remote all over the country. So we have staff in, I think, close to or more than 20 states. But Flipcause was started by our founders, Allison and Emerson here. And they started because what they saw was sort of a trend throughout the small nonprofit space, that oftentimes when they were helping these small nonprofits, either in a board capacity or in a volunteer capacity or helping them build their technology, that a lot of them were running into the same sorts of issues, that they were sort of sending donors and data into a number of different places, and they all sort of needed the same types of solutions. So they came together to create Flipcause. And as I mentioned before, our mission is to empower small nonprofits to better engage your community and fund their causes, regardless of budget or technical ability. So we really do aim to work with the smallest organizations in the country. And so, like I said, what we saw across the nonprofit industry is that oftentimes organizations are sending their donors and data into a number of different places. I'm sure that there's some of you out there who are using a combination of tools. And if I were to guess, the majority of you, if you're not using it now, have familiarity with PayPal. You're probably keeping track of your donors in a spreadsheet. When it comes time for an event, maybe you put together an Eventbrite page, and then and then in other cases, maybe you might use GoFundMe or maybe more familiarity with a CRM like Little Green Light. Well, that ends up kind of a network of in a scenario that's very similar to what you see here, where, as I said, all sorts of directions that all of that donor information is going. And oftentimes this is occurring with limited hands, time, and money. So that's really where Flipcause comes in. And that's why we've created what we call the Flipcause way. Now, our tools are a combination of tools and services to help you better support your organization in fundraising and community engagement efforts. As you can see, we provide the all-in-one fundraising platform, a centralized contact database, a website. If you need it, we could always build and update a new website for you. And the best part about Flipcause is that we provide unlimited human support with all of our tools, which we'll cover in a minute. So when you think of any way that an organization would want to fundraise or engage your communities online, Flipcause does have you covered. So from recurring contributions to keeping your volunteer organized, to managing an event like a golf tournament or a walkathon, to online stores and to peer-to-peer fundraising, Flipcause really does have you covered. And all of the data that comes in through any of these tools is then funneled into the Flipcause contact database. That happens automatically. So right away, all of your donor information is stored in the database. Existing records are updated or new records are created. On top of that, these donors are receiving customized thank you messages. Tax receipts are going out automatically. And these records are unlimited. On top of that, we'll actually do an unlimited data import for you. So our team is there on your behalf to be ready to help you get started and hit the ground running if some of these tools look good. Now, I do want to point out, I know none of this has anything to do with Giving Tuesday yet. So in a minute, I'm going to tell you how all of this connects, because as you might imagine, small organizations that utilize these tools and the types of people that we're working with, Giving Tuesday is a big component of how they fundraise it. What we've seen is the biggest online fundraising day for the small nonprofits. So just sit tight. I know I'm thinking in the back of my mind that some of you are probably like, where does Giving Tuesday fit in? So I will be getting to that in a second. But before I do, I just wanted to kind of wrap up on this overview of the tools and what these look like. As I mentioned, with the Flipcause platform, we do build out websites for anybody who needs one. So we could always build our tools into your existing website. Or if you'd like, at no additional cost, we'll build a website for you. It includes web hosting, SSL security, but the best part is that these tools come with webmaster services. So what that means is that when you need updates done to your site, or you could ask our team to make changes for you. And finally, the best part about Flipcause is that we provide unlimited human support with all of our tools. So what that means is that when you need to install a new volunteer form, or you have an event coming up and you want to create an event page with registration options, or if you need an update to the website done, you can hand that off to our team. We really want you to treat us like an extension of your team, and sort of an extension to your organization. So you can really start to hand off some of those tasks to us. And to give you an idea of what that looks like, um, I might have to readjust my screen share here. So this is our demo site, Kids Now. You can actually come here after the call to see how all of these tools function. It's kidsnow.co. We'll jump into this Giving Tuesday page here in a second, but all of these tools that you see here, this is all Flipcause technology. And you'll see all of the different ways that people can engage with you using any of these tools. So for example, if your organization is program focused and you maybe offer some after school programs like pottery, or maybe just a daycare, and you need parents to be able to sign up, they'll be able to do that using the tools. What's nice is everything is customizable, so you can really incorporate anything that you need directly into any of these tools. So names, waivers, you could always drop down open-ended questions. And then we have similar tools built out for volunteer registration. In case you need to get your volunteer signed up, you can do so and have them select dates and times. The other nice thing is that when it comes to events, like say, for example, a gala, we would be able to build out an end of the year gala tool for you as well. So let me jump into the other page here. When it comes to our gala tools, what's nice is we have what we call a universal checkout. So that means that anybody can can donate, purchase tickets, volunteer, all under one roof. So with that being said, that's kind of an overview of what the tools look like. I'll get into what these look like more in a minute, but I want to hand this over to Nate, because he's going to give us an overview of what are Giving Days and what Flipcause can do with these types of tools for a day like Giving Tuesday.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. I want to preface this by saying that we're just here for a short amount of time. We're just going to kind of scratch the surface of what there is to explore in terms of considerations for Giving Tuesday. So I definitely highly recommend, as I'm looking at the chat, there seems to be various kind of levels of experience with Giving Tuesday, and really encourage folks, especially folks who are new to Giving Tuesday, to navigate to the givingtuesday.org website. There are a ton of additional resources, including visual resources, logos and graphics, and Canva templates and things that you could utilize to really support you in your campaign. So along with this presentation today, definitely utilize the givingtuesday.org as a resource, because there's a ton there. And also, since we're kind of having a various kind of range of folks with experience with Giving Tuesday, I wanted to first kind of quickly talk about the concept of Giving Days in general. As I mentioned earlier, my background and experience is kind of administering Giving Days. And so the concept of Giving Days is really that they're a dedicated day, that brings together fundraising, supporter engagement, social networks, and awareness to really create a targeted multi-channel campaign. And some examples of popular Giving Days are things like Worldwide Giving Day, Giving Tuesday, which of course happens the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Also a number of regional Giving Days, things like Colorado Gives Day, for example, or Omaha Gives. These are typically put on by like the local community organizations, like I was mentioning with East Bay Community Foundation, or statewide foundations as well. And then you also have things like theme-based Giving Days, things like Endangered Species Day or World Alzheimer's Day, for example. One of the things that really makes giving days unique is their time-sensitive nature. So donors only have one day, just 24 hours to support your cause and help you reach your goal. This really helps create a sense of urgency, which of course is important in fundraising, right? We want our supporters to be moved to action. And so oftentimes nonprofits will use the Giving Day as a chance to showcase testimonials, for example, from their donors or those who have benefited directly from their organization. Those donors may even sign up to fundraise on the organization's behalf. This is, you've heard of this term, peer-to-peer fundraising. We'll get a little bit, or Joe will get a little bit more into that here in a little bit. And then, sometimes nonprofits even run contests or provide giveaways, sort of as a way to draw in support and create competitive giving opportunities. So let's go to the next slide. So let's kind of talk about, the ingredients of a successful Giving Tuesday. And so in order to have a successful Giving Tuesday, you really need to start with a plan. And the first step of that plan is to set an achievable goal. Emphasis on achievable. So you want to choose an amount that you really believe you could realistically raise in 24 hours. And you're going to base this on, past fundraisers, or existing relationships. Now, if you're new to fundraising, if your organization's new, or you're having a hard time figuring out, what would be realistic, you could just set a lower goal, something that feels like, okay, this seems like this is something that's going to be achievable. Maybe then you set a stretch goal as well. That way you have the option of surpassing that goal and even getting to a stretch goal. Again, the big emphasis here is really just to make sure that you have a goal that seems like it could be achievable. And why? Well, making an achievable goal is important because it's going to give those who are participating, those who donate, when you do reach that goal, your donor is going to feel good. And it's going to really build kind of momentum towards the end of year giving and beyond. I mean, I personally love contributing to fundraisers. And then, later on hearing that they've met their goal or even surpassed that certainly leaves a warm, fuzzy feeling in my heart for sure. You also want to connect your fundraising goal to an outcome. So what is it that you're fundraising for? For example, you want to let your donors know that you're trying to raise $1,000 to fund a scholarship for a first-generation college student in 2021. Or, the more easily a donor can wrap their head around kind of what it is that your dollars are going to, the more likely they are to give. You could also help illustrate your donor's impact by creating different donation levels that relate to your goal. So again, for example, you're raising money for a classroom. So maybe $25 will provide snacks for students for a week, or $50 will fund art supplies for the month, whatever it is, kind of attach those different outcomes to those different amounts. And then, remember that your goals don't always have to be focused just on dollars. You can also talk about other things that are going to be impacted by support. So use this time to track other important measurables, such as, increase in volunteers or social media followers. And then in addition to your goal, you're also going to want to develop a compelling call to action. So in other words, if that's an unfamiliar term, what are you telling your supporters or your potential supporters to do? Now, of course, the most important call to action for any fundraising campaign is, well, for someone to donate. But a successful campaign can have more than one call to action. So for example, let's say that in addition to raising $1,000, you have a separate goal of increasing volunteers. You may consider asking someone to think about signing up for a volunteer shift in the next week or in the next month. Something nonprofits use Giving Days to launch, or sometimes actually nonprofits use Giving Days to launch into a larger campaign or as a kickoff to a future event. So your call to action may include, registering for a future in-person or virtual event. Maybe with your Giving Tuesday campaign, you're also encouraging your supporters to get tickets to your end of year gala or virtual event, things like that. And then next, you're going to want to start building out a communication plan. And so this is going to be really your opportunity to tell a story that illustrates the impact and, what your donors, how they're going to impact your organization, and also what your organization's impact is on the community that you serve. So you're going to really want to make sure that you're using emotion to drive these donor decisions. This isn't about, this isn't an annual report. So it's not about, focusing on stats or highlighting, things that are not really connected to emotion or connected to your programmatic thing. So this is your chance really to highlight a powerful story. What or who has been impacted by your work? So if you have a really powerful story that tugs at the heartstrings, this is really the time to use it. And a successful donation can really appeal and inspire people to take action, but this doesn't take place through a single social media post or email. You're going to really need to plan to send multiple messages leading up to Giving Tuesday. So for example, over the month of November or sooner, if you're already kind of in the planning phases and you're ready to go with communication, start now if you can. But you want to aim to send an email a week, kind of at a minimum. Leading up to Giving Tuesday. And so here are some ideas of things that you could kind of include in your messaging. You could do a save the date message that primes people to give. So again, if you're definitely planning on participating in Giving Tuesday, then get started now. As soon as you can, get that first save the date message out if you haven't already. You're going to want to get a reminder email to help your Giving Day message kind of stand out in your supporters' inboxes. An email with an impact story that kind of tugs at your supporters' heartstrings. You could do a call to action email on the morning of Giving Tuesday to really just kind of drive it home and tell folks, okay, this is the time. Let's go. Please support our cause. And then finally, at the end of the day or in the evening of Giving Tuesday, kind of a final reminder. This serves kind of two purposes. One is to just once more gently remind folks that maybe have not contributed yet. And then also, of course, to kind of thank those who already have contributed to the campaign. This is a really great opportunity to kind of give an update of where you're at. So hopefully, if all things have gone well, you've already reached your goal. If not, it's another way to kind of, again, gently encourage supporters to really help you cross that finish line by giving an update on where you're at in your campaign and how much more you need to raise. Now, again, I highly recommend planning these emails out in advance. So if you use MailChimp or another kind of email service, I would recommend planning these emails out, minus that final email, which of course is dependent on where you're at in your campaign. But if you could get all these scheduled in advance, then that's one less thing that you're going to have to think about as you're approaching the 30th. And then if your organization is on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, et cetera, you've got a bigger opportunity to share this compelling message. So you definitely, same thing with emails, you want to create a save the date post and share it today. That's something you could do as an action step right now, right after we wrap up. If you're planning on doing a Giving Tuesday and you haven't communicated out yet about it, definitely that's your opportunity to get started. If, again, as I mentioned with givingtuesday.org, if you go to givingtuesday.org, under the resources tab is a section that has logos and images that you could use for your social media posts. So that initial post, if you have some major supporters for your organization, make sure to tag those supporters, encourage those people to share your posts as well, and encourage your supporters, your followers on Facebook, anybody on Twitter, whatever kind of social media platform you use. Encourage your supporters to really share the word of your campaign on Giving Tuesday. Back to what I was talking about earlier, that is a call to action, by the way. You don't always have to encourage supporters just to donate to your organization. What's equally important and can really help build your community and grow your reach is to encourage your supporters to spread the word, have them become advocates for your organization, and spread the word of your campaign. In addition to that initial social media post, you're definitely going to want to create 3 to 4 awareness posts to send throughout the month of November leading up to your campaign. Make sure to include elements of your campaign message to really, to create that continuity. And you could do reminder posts on, let's say, Monday the 29th. That's probably a good day to kind of give a final reminder of your Giving Tuesday campaign. Make sure that that's top of mind for your supporters. And it also can reinforce that last email that you sent out as well to your supporters before Giving Tuesday. And then on the day of, a donate today post should definitely go out in the morning of Giving Tuesday, including, again, that clear call to action. You could do 1 to 2 or more campaign updates throughout the day, really, again, encouraging supporters to help you reach your goal. And then bring it all home with a genuine thank you post when your campaign is over on the 1st. And of course, in your social media posts, don't forget to include things like relevant hashtags. So with Giving Tuesday, hashtag Giving Tuesday, hashtag Giving Tuesday 2021. Incorporate your campaign goals and messaging in all of your posts, and use engaging images whenever possible. So if you've got image collateral already, definitely make sure you use that for your post. If you don't have a lot of images of your program, that kind of thing, again, go to givingtuesday.org. They do have resources for you to include in your posts as well. And then again, another pro tip here in terms of scheduling, if you're using Facebook as your main kind of social media outlet, schedule those Facebook posts so then you don't have to think about it. Or if you use a tool like Hootsuite, you could easily schedule your social media posts across platforms. And next slide here, Joe, thanks. And then, all these ingredients are great, but you need somewhere to direct your donors throughout the day of your campaign. And so that's why we recommend here at Flipcause to really have a dedicated campaign page. So it's a little bit small on the screen here, but as you can see in the kind of the bottom right corner, this is sort of an example of a Giving Day campaign landing page. This is a standalone page, mind you. So it's going to have its own unique URL. And we really recommend this option for Giving Tuesday and really for any Giving Day in general, because, oh, cool, Joe's kind of navigating to another page here. Because you could share this link, in your emails, in your social media posts. That way people are directed right to where they can make a contribution. And this is super important because you want to make donating as easy as possible. You don't want to create any kind of friction for your supporters. And so if you only have a place to donate, let's say like somewhere on your website, that's a 2-step process, right? Because then your supporter is going to have to first go to your website and then navigate to the page on your website where they can make a contribution. Whereas if you have a standalone landing page like this, they click on that link, they're taken right to where they can immediately make a contribution. Now, in setting up your page, you really want to start with strong branding. Your logo and brand colors that you really are going to be the key things that kind of create your nonprofit's visual identity. And research shows that landing pages with branded colors raise up to 6 times more money. So the psychology behind this really is that your supporters that know about your organization already are going to feel like, okay, yes, this is definitely the organization I'm going to support, and this is going to make it a lot, give your chances of people supporting. And also for people who are just discovering your organization for the first time, having that strong branding is really going to kind of push them over the edge of making that decision to support your organization and your cause, because you're coming off as credible here. So incorporate your branded colors in the background and make sure that your logo appears definitely at the top of your landing page, as you can see here in this Kids Now example. Use complementary colors for calls to action. So complementary colors tend to go together well and provide kind of that high contrast on your page. If you want to quickly and clearly show your supporters how you'd like them to take action, you'll definitely want to use these complementary colors. You want it to pop. You want them to easily see where they can contribute, for example. And then you definitely want to focus on high quality photos. High quality photos are going to allow you to kind of establish credibility and trust. And so make sure that your photos that you use in your donation page, especially, are kind of going to be high resolution, as you can see here. And then, of course, you want to illustrate your donor's impact. So as you can see here, I don't know if Joe, you want to take, okay, cool, perfect. As you can see here, the Kids Now has kind of broken down the different levels of their donations. So you can see, $25 purchases 2 books for students, $100 purchases, enough for an entire year of mentorship. So break it down, let them know what, each level is. As a personal note here, if I get to see, what $100 is going to do, that's awesome. That's huge. A whole entire year of membership. I'm definitely going to want to go for that higher amount for sure. Cool. Next slide. And then lastly here, what I kind of want to talk about and what we kind of believe is really the most important of Giving Tuesday, but to be honest, really with any fundraising, in terms of building a dedicated community of passionate supporters, is going to be your donor stewardship. So if donor stewardship is an unfamiliar term, it really just means that relationship building and the communication that takes place after your campaign is over. Now, getting someone to donate once, it might be relatively easy, but turning that person into a passionate supporter who is going to continue to give beyond just supporting that one time on Giving Tuesday is going to require more work. And so first, and probably most importantly, it's really imperative that you thank your supporters and you do that quickly. Now, research has shown that donors who receive that thank you message within 48 hours are 4 times more likely to give. So that's huge. Just that one act of showing gratitude and thanking them in a timely manner is going to increase the chances that they're going to give again. Now, I think Joe's going to cover this in a moment when he's kind of showcasing the tools a little bit more in depth, but just think about too that if you do utilize a platform like Flipcause or another platform to host your giving page, one of the kind of benefits is that you're going to have the immediacy of an automatic thank you sent to your supporters. So it's kind of standard practice with giving days for that acknowledgement to be sent, via email. Now, when I say acknowledgement, that really just means, hey, your donation was received. Thank you. Here's the tax receipt information for your tax purposes. But in one simple act, including a more personalized thank you, is going to be that first step in really turning those supporters into lifelong supporters of your cause. And so a good thank you message should really include the following: your donor's first name, their donation amount, and then that really honest expression of your personal gratitude for their contribution, and also how that donation makes a difference. Yeah. So again, kind of going back to that. Oh, okay. Do we have, sorry, maybe somebody got unmuted there.
Yeah, I just muted them. Okay. No worries.
No worries. And so, going back to like the different donation levels, like kind of reinforcing like, hey, this donation that you just gave to us ensures that we now will be able to have however many students have that full scholarship for the year, whatever that difference is that you're making. So make sure that you include that in the thank you. And then to really take it to the next level, additional things you can include to make that thank you great would be some kind of story that really illustrates the donor's impact. So you could kind of pull from that same story that I was mentioning earlier that tugs at the heartstrings, talks about those people or those animals or whatever your mission is, how they're impacted by their dollars. And then, you could even take it to the next level by adding like a short thank you video. Maybe if you're a youth program, a little thank you video from some of the youth participants from the program could be a little additional touch. And then lastly, a really important thing, and this kind of goes back to the psychology, is including the word you over and over again in your messaging. So saying you is really all about centralizing your donor, making your donor and their generosity the center of attention. So what you might want to do when you're kind of crafting this message is scan it and see how many times that you've said the word we or our organization in your message, and make sure that there are equal or more messages to you, the donor, how they're making a difference to your organization. And then another thing that you're going to want to do to cultivate that lifelong supporter is to also offer other ways to get involved. We oftentimes as nonprofit professionals kind of get trapped into the messaging of like donate, always just like, give us money. But that could really lead to donor burnout. And that's, of course, what we want to avoid. We don't want to just always be hammering our supporters with give us money. So be sure to also in your follow-up messaging to your supporters, offer other ways that they can get involved. And this could be done in that initial thank you email or letter as a separate follow-up message, maybe a couple weeks past or a month after a Giving Tuesday, or even better, honestly, in all your communications out to your supporters. So do you have some volunteer positions available? Or maybe your organization is seeking some corporate sponsors and they're looking for folks that might work for corporations. Perhaps you're developing a membership program and you have some merchandise to sell at your online store. All these things are things that you could kind of offer to your supporters as other ways that they could further get involved. And these are all great things that you could offer, but another thing that you could do, if you haven't, and Joe's going to touch on this right now, but if you did incorporate an element of peer-to-peer fundraising in your Giving Tuesday campaign, or if you didn't do that for your Giving Tuesday campaign, but you plan to do some kind of peer-to-peer fundraising effort in the future, you could encourage those supporters to get involved in that way. That's a really special way to take it to the next level, because then it takes the burden off that supporter to say, oh gosh, I have to donate it again. Instead, they could use the power of their own networks to reach out to their community to encourage their friends and family to consider supporting your organization. So long story short, offer other ways for your supporters to get involved. That's really going to help develop them into lifelong supporters. I feel like I've talked a lot here. I hope this information has been helpful. And I think this is a good segue to go to Joe to kind of now tie it all together to get a little bit more detail about how Flipcause and these fundraising landing pages can work, as well as that peer-to-peer fundraising element.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Great job. I hope that was helpful. Definitely want to hear from you all, like if that was helpful. I wish that I got that much instruction before my first Giving Tuesday. There's a lot in there that I think will benefit folks. But what can we do for you is, well, we could actually help you build or just build a Giving Tuesday campaign page for you. Nathan mentioned that landing page. Well, we could actually build a landing page for you so you can direct your donors specifically to a place to give for Giving Tuesday. You might have one of those stories like Nate mentioned where an impact story about someone who's benefited from the services of your organization. This is the place that you can do that. You can tell that story here, maybe get a quote from somebody who's benefited from your services, and have that high resolution photo on a page like this. You can use this as an opportunity to tell your audience exactly how much are these dollars going to have an impact. 25 does this, $50 does that. But one of the things that we've really seen that differentiates nonprofits on Giving Tuesday is a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. One of the great things about Giving Tuesday is that it's becoming sort of ubiquitous with the holiday giving season. You think of course, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Giving Tuesday is up there, not just in the nonprofit industry, but in the community at large. People know that this is a day to give. But sometimes what happens is nonprofits show up and they just expect that all these dollars are just going to kind of flow in without having to really put in the effort. So that's kind of what we wanted to have today about, to tell you that that it takes about 30 to 45 days to get ready for something like this. But the other thing that we can help do to help you differentiate yourselves from the other nonprofits out there is a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with peer-to-peer fundraising, essentially, the way I like to describe it is it gives the people who are associated with your organization. Now, this might be your board of directors. This might be some of your volunteers, some of your stronger donors, or people who've actually received direct service from your organization. It gives those stakeholders an opportunity to fundraise on your behalf. So I'll use Allie here as an example. You can imagine that maybe she's a volunteer at Kids Now. She knows this organization in and out and the impact that it's having in the community. She can now tell her personalized story about why she's raising money on behalf of Kids Now. And she can share this story easily through a link to Facebook, a link on her LinkedIn page. She can embed this on her own personal page if she has somewhere that she wants to embed this, or send this out in an email to her family and friends. But here's what's really powerful. When that ask is coming directly from Allie, her friends and family are much more likely to give. And now what happens is you're going to start to see donors coming into your organization that would not have ever given before because they wouldn't have known about your organization before. Now, going back to what Nate mentioned about setting realistic goals and not always building your goals around fundraising, one of the goals that you could set here is maybe running a successful 5 for 5 campaign. You identify 5 people who can create a page like this for you and get them to bring in 5 donations. even if those donations average anywhere from $10 to $20 each, the benefit is that now you have 25 new donors in your database. These people are automatically going to be receiving thank you messages. That's going to include the customized message and story that you want to include. But not only that, their names and emails are going to end up in your contact database, so you can reach back out to them, tell them in a month or in a few months about the impact that their donation had, and then ask them to come to another event, ask them to come to a volunteer event, ask them to become peer-to-peer fundraisers themselves. So that is really the power of these tools. On top of that, it will allow you to start to tell your story ahead of Giving Tuesday so that your organization is on top of donors' minds when that day rolls around. Because there's probably going to be at least a few asks on Giving Tuesday in their inbox. It's realistically could be 3 or 5. I'm sure we've all seen them before, but we want your organization to be on top of their mind. And that's what we're here for. As I mentioned, we have a success team. They can build a page like this for you. All we are going to ask you to do is send over the language and the photos of each of your fundraisers, or you can set up pages like this yourself, and we'll be able to build something like this for you. The nice thing is that we are offering a free trial and a special promotion to anybody on this call. So I'm going to get into that in a little bit, or actually right now. So typically, the way that we offer pricing is an equity-based model where we want to, we would never want someone to not be able to use Flipcause because of their budget. That's, as you saw, in our mission. So what we did was we set up a sliding scale based on what an organization's previous year's revenue was. So it starts at $350 per month paid annually for organizations who are whose revenue is over $1 million, $250 a month for $250,000 to $1 million, $175 a month for organizations between $50,000 and $250,000. And if your revenue is under $50,000, it's $125 per month paid annually. But as a promotion to the folks who are on this call, we are offering a special offer to everybody on the call, regardless of your revenue, $75 a month paid annually to anybody that signs up in the next 30 days. I'll send you guys a link in after the call to give you some information about how we can get you signed up. Now, on top of that, we are offering an extended free trial. Typically throughout the year, we're doing like a 14-day free trial, but with Giving Tuesday coming up, we know a lot of nonprofits sort of fell behind because of COVID, and they have bigger fundraising goals that they have to fill in this year. We've extended our free trial promotion. So we're giving everybody an opportunity to try Flipcause for free until the end of the year. So as long as you sign up within 30 days, you'll get Flipcause for free until the end of the year. And that will include everything that I mentioned in the beginning of this call. That would include us building and hosting a new website for you, installing registration tools, donation button tools, and helping you launch your first fundraising campaign, all for free until the end of the year. This is a great opportunity to see if keeping track of all of your donors in one place and utilizing our database and things like that are the right fit for you. That way, at the end of the year, you and your team can come back together, reevaluate Flipcause, see if you've had enough success to continue to use it moving forward at that $75 a month amount. On top of that, we are also offering an additional service, which is our education course, which is being spearheaded by Nate, actually. So I'll let him take this away before we wrap up here.
Cool, thanks, Joe. Yeah, just a little bit of an additional resource. What we have found over the years of doing this work, and specifically me, just conversations that I've had with folks, I talk to a lot of people that see the value in what we offer, but still kind of just need some guidance on how to really get started, and also how to just really effectively utilize all the Flipcause offers. With Giving Tuesday, there is a ton to consider. I mean, like I said, we've just kind of scratched the surface today in the presentation. And like I said, I highly encourage folks to also go to givingtuesday.org to pull on some additional resources there. But the good news is that, yeah, in addition to all that, the tools and support that you get from Flipcause, we've also begun offering courses like this one to anybody that signs up for the free trial. We want to really ensure that nonprofits are going to be prepared for Giving Tuesday and also beyond Giving Tuesday, the holiday giving season. That's the research shows that, the end of the year is where most donations come in for nonprofits. So we've created a course that teaches specifically new Flipcause users how to build out that online fundraising plan, especially leading up to the end of the year. Also, how to get the most out of the tools and technology that are available for you here at Flipcause. It's going to reference a ton of blog articles and related content, all specific to online fundraising. I actually manage our blog, and over the next 2 months, I've actually, starting about a month ago, I've been releasing a ton of really great articles related to Giving Tuesday and end of year fundraising. So just a lot of resources there. We want to make sure that folks are really prepared, for Giving Tuesday and beyond. So if you're finding yourself being someone who does need a little extra help kind of figuring out where to begin with online fundraising, I definitely highly recommend checking out that course as well if you are doing that free trial with us.
Cool. So as far as next steps go, if you are interested in learning more or having us provide you a personalized tour of our tools, just simply come to flipcause.com. And you can sign up for a time where we're going to actually work with you to figure out exactly what your needs are, and then and get you signed up for the free trial. Here on the homepage of flipcause.com, you'll see a button for book a demo. Go ahead and book a demo. You could probably do that as early as today. And let's see, you could probably do that, like I said, as early as today if you're interested, and we could get you signed up and building your Giving Tuesday page within 24 hours from today. If you really wanted to, if you're motivated, we could sign up for a demo for 1:30. So, just come to I'll also send out an email with links to the pages we visited. As I mentioned, kidsnow.co, links to the Giving Tuesday page, so you can see how this works, and you can play around and see if anything like this works well for you. But we really appreciate your time. We hope that at the bare minimum, that you learned a little bit more about Giving Tuesday today. Have a good plan in mind of how you're going to be able to execute this Giving Tuesday. And if you're looking for some additional assistance, feel free to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. That was really great. So I think I would love to have you guys stick around for a little bit of a Q&A. So if anybody on the call would like to pop a question into the chat, I have a couple questions to get us started while people are typing.
Okay.
So we've talked a lot about Giving Tuesday. Obviously, that was the sort of main seasonal event, but can you tell me a little bit more about how Giving Tuesday or Flipcause works in the off season, not end of year, but throughout the rest of the year?
That's a really good question. I think I'll go first. What we've seen is that nonprofits are needing tools, not just at the end of the year, but all throughout the year, and because I'm sure everyone on this call is doing maybe 1 or 2 events a year. Maybe that's a gala, a golf tournament, a walkathon, or you're doing maybe you're participating in one of those awareness days like Wildlife Awareness Day, or you're doing a big on-site volunteer project. All of those different things can be managed by Flipcause using our registration tools and using our volunteer sign-up tools. We can create campaigns for virtually anything. To kind of give you an idea of the different types of events that we've built for people, we've done all sorts of things, from, as I mentioned, virtual speakers events to Thanksgiving breakfast poker events. If you host workshops throughout the year, if you have programs throughout the year, all of these things need to be organized. You need to give people a place to go to learn about them, and an opportunity to sign up. And then on top of that, most importantly, giving your donors an opportunity to come and make a contribution when they hear about you word of mouth. Make it easy. So we have a floating support us button that's going to always be on your website. So it's not just about Giving Tuesday. There's plenty of opportunities to utilize these tools.
Awesome. Okay, we got a couple questions in the chat here. First off, from Selby, she's asking if we are already a Flipcause user, which great. How do we go about signing up for the education course?
So I'm actually typing in the chat right now. Maybe you all could just share my email after. I'm totally fine with that. My email. So Selby or anybody else who might already be a Flipcause customer, feel free to just ping me a quick message, and I will make sure to get you the sign up form for the course.
Perfect. All right, from Lydia, we have another question. Our nonprofit deals with redistricting reform. Cool, very needed. Do you have experience with orgs like ours that address abstract and difficult concepts? I will speak for ourselves at Mockingbird. Yes, we deal with nonprofits like that all the time. Flipcause?
Yeah, we work with close to 5,000 organizations, and oftentimes they're all, every nonprofit is unique in the different communities that they serve. Off the top of my head, I do not know. I can't say for certain if that's a type of organization that we work with, but we have worked with all sorts of nonprofits with missions that are varied across the board. And at the end of the day, usually there are some common denominators across nonprofits, which is like how to best engage with your community, how to give these people an opportunity to contribute, how to keep these people organized. So in that case, I would say that I'm sure a lot of the pain points that you're facing are similar to other nonprofits. So I would encourage you to schedule a demo with one of my colleagues, and we could walk through a personalized tour of Flipcause specific for you, and we could see if there's something that we can do for you.
I will also add, Lydia, we would love to work with an org that works on gerrymandering. So if you send us an email, info@mockingbirdanalytics.com or mockingbirdincubator.org, I would love to talk more with you. Next question from Elaine. What's best, create a landing page or set it up on Facebook as a Giving Tuesday event, or both?
Nate, you want to take this one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think there are some serious drawbacks to fundraising via Facebook. One of them being that Facebook is kind of notorious, and I know that it changes, and some nonprofits have various experiences, but Facebook kind of is a little bit notorious in terms of really delaying in terms of you getting your funds. Also, keep in mind that when you fundraise through Facebook, you're not getting that valuable donor information, and that's super important, because again, at the end of the day, with fundraising, with Giving Tuesday, you might not raise a ton of money on a Giving Tuesday campaign or a peer-to-peer campaign, as Joe was mentioning. That's not really the goal. The goal is really getting more supporters and having those people available to really cultivate. So I personally, as an ex fundraiser myself, I would take 25 new donors that donated just a small amount over 2 donors that donated a large amount, and I didn't have the info on them. And so part of what kind of Joe was touching at is that the benefit with Flipcause is that data is really king in this space. We want to have information on our supporters so we could kind of properly steward them. And so with Facebook, you're not getting that donor information. And that's kind of unfortunate. That's a big loss. I'm not saying you shouldn't also fundraise via Facebook. I think that it can certainly be powerful. So a long answer, I guess, is that, yeah, maybe you could do both, or as an option, what you could actually do is just share your campaign landing page on Facebook, and that way when people click through on that link, it's just going to drive them right to where they can make the contribution. That way you're getting that donor information, which again is super important.
I want to amplify what you just said, because I think it's so important and I don't want it to be lost. And hopefully this sounds familiar to our clients and incubator participants. Small donors are incredibly valuable. Small donors tend to be the most stable and loyal source of funding for your organization. So the more you can invest in those small donors, the better off you'll be. Large donors, major donors, grants are considered to be unstable sources of funding because they're much more sort of easy come, easy go. It's those small donors that are the most important. So I'm going to flip to a question by Fresh Start Now. How much are the donation fees to participate in Flipcause versus Mighty Cause?
Prep for this one, I saw it coming. So I actually, hold on, am I sharing? I have it pulled up on 2 screens, so I want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen here.
Yeah, you're on the Mighty Cause one right now, Joe.
Okay, I have it pulled up on 2 screens, so I'm just going to stop my share really quick. It's That is a really good question. So Flipcause has a guaranteed effective rate of 1.5%. It's similar to the process that Mighty Cause uses, where they're asking your donors to cover an optional 6.9% plus 30 cents per transaction, but you're never going to pay more than 2.2% plus 29 cents per transaction. Flipcause is lower than that. So the most that we're going to ever ask your donors to pay is 4.9%. What we've seen is 90% of the time, donors will cover that fee. But if they do not cover the fee, we will cover your fee up to 1.5%. So effectively, you're never going to pay more than 1.5% on average. If at the end of the quarter, we see that you've paid over 1.5%, we refund you a credit to your merchant account that you can distribute out to your bank account. So the most that you're going to pay with Flipcause is 1.5% compared to Mighty Cause is 2.9 plus a few extra cents. So hopefully that answers your question.
I mean, that's really compelling. We have another follow-up question from Selby. I appreciate the idea of offering diverse options beyond money giving to our audience, but given COVID restrictions, we can't have any volunteers on site. Any ideas?
In terms of like other ways for volunteer help or other ideas of getting involved?
I think you mentioned getting people to sort of volunteer for the walkathon or in-person opportunities, other ways to get them involved.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because we kind of, I'll speak for myself. I was kind of worried when COVID first hit that like, oh man, the whole idea of virtual events, that sounds challenging. I don't know if that's going to work out, but what we've witnessed over the last year and a half or plus is that our nonprofit partners have been wildly successful with doing virtual events and virtual, like Joe, I think Joe was mentioning virtual walks and those things. So it sounds like a funny concept, but it really caught fire in terms of folks being really inspired to go and, you know, do a walk on your own time and help do that peer-to-peer fundraising for the organization. And you know, raise some funds. You know, people are getting really creative with the way that they could do things virtually. In terms of supporting an organization as a volunteer virtually, don't have anything coming to mind off the top of my head, but yeah, I would definitely say that in terms of the world of virtual events, we're definitely seeing our nonprofit partners have a lot of success.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say we've
good follow-up question in the chat too.
Yeah, so kind of to answer both, maybe it's not always just about like giving your volunteers something to do, but that's like, you know, helping your organization directly, but just giving them an opportunity to participate in an event, or sometimes, and this is kind of echoing something that I heard both Nathan and Jessica say, just saying thank you and just letting them feel recognized and heard, especially your smallest donors. So that might come in the form of hosting an event without necessarily a donation ask. So maybe you host a virtual poetry slam or a speaker series where you have an expert from your field come in. Maybe, you know, if your field is gerrymandering and redistricting, maybe an update from someone in the community about how that's impacting them, and then a response from someone in the local government. That could be a really nice dynamic to hear from people. And this registration could just be free. And your goal, again, going back to setting realistic goals, might be just to get a few new faces in the door that you can reach back out to for a donation. So there are different ways to engage people. A lot of nonprofits did virtual walks and runs over the past year and a half. And we can and you can get into that, and that means people go out and they fundraise on behalf of the organization. You can see this is the superhero fun run with Peter Parker and Bruce Wayne. Bruce isn't really doing as great of a job fundraising as we'd like to see, but especially considering his contacts in the community. But you know, this gives people an opportunity. Hey, I'm going to run for your nonprofit. I'm going to do it in my neighborhood where I feel safe and comfortable. But on top of that, I'm going to ask my friends and family to support me.
Perfect. Yeah, I would say for this, from our end, helping people create those campaigns and ideas. Maddie, we can talk more about this tomorrow. I know we have a call. But the only limit is your own imagination here. We've seen people get tremendously creative over the last year, and it has been so much fun and so inspiring. And I think Flipcause is a great tool to sort of facilitate whatever creativity you come up with. Last question from Yeti. Can you show that fee comparison chart again, please?
Absolutely.
So when we have 2 more minutes, I'll ask one sort of final wrap-up question. One of the things that we talk a lot to our clients about all the time, and you guys touched on it in your presentation, Nathan, is the idea of creating those impact metrics where a donor knows that $25 buys 2 books or 5 meals or something like that. What are your guys' feelings on best practices creating those impact metrics? We go back and forth about having dollar amounts that make sense and making sure that you have enough tiers in that to make sense to people. What are your guys' thoughts?
It's a good question. I feel like there's kind of 2 parts of that. In terms of like specificity of what dollars do, I honestly think that the more specific, the better. So if you could be very clear about like what realistically a certain level is going to kind of get you, the better, because again, it kind of goes back to the psychology of the content. It's giving context. I could be like, wow, I'd like, all I had to do was give $25 and, you know, that was, you know, books for 2 of the mentees. Like it again, just kind of really helps your supporter have a really good context. And it also kind of really helps encourage them go like, wow, like, you know, a larger amount is really having a bigger impact and I want to have a bigger impact. So kind of can push them on the edge of, if they are on the edge of like the difference between giving $50 or $100. And then also in terms of those different levels, and I think this also kind of goes to the idea or the concept of how to set up your donation levels just in general on a landing page like this. You really want to pull from your average donation. So if you're a brand new organization, this doesn't really work. But if you're an established organization, have a look actually at your last year's donation levels, get an average rate. Some research has found that actually if you start your lowest level with kind of like your average rate and then kind of go up from there, that's going to really encourage people to give a little bit higher, because what happens is that psychologically speaking, people tend to actually donate the second notch up. They usually don't donate the first one up. Another really important part about that, sorry if I'm going over time here, but always remember to go from low to high, because other research has found that if you go from high to low, that actually turns donors off. And I kind of get it for myself. I don't like it. It feels kind of tricky to like be like, oh, the first one is the highest level. Start with that lowest one. And then of course, always offer that choice for someone to enter the amount that they want to donate, so that you're not turning away anybody that might feel like even $25 is too much for them.
Yeah, I would also add, make sure you add like a place to give an other option.
Right,
In case that top amount is still too much, you wouldn't turn down $10, you know?
Totally.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for this. This was really helpful.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, we would love to have you back sometime. Everyone, you will be getting an email from us with follow-up, a link to this presentation that we'll post on our Teachable platform that you can access. And more information about how to contact Joe and Nathan, and make sure you get yourself set up on Flipcause before Giving Tuesday. But thank you again, everybody, for coming. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk soon.